I meet so much resistance, and it's
sometimes they just don't realize it.
It's frustrating, you know.
I mean, how many times have you seen the Washington Monument, have gone to visit yourself, or even took the elevator right up it, and never thought twice about it? You just thought it was funny, but you kept it to yourself.
Yeah.
But when you bring this out, you start talking about it, you see everybody else has thought the same things. Like, why is that there? You know, and you start to see the
Christian country, mostly Christian country. I know we're a melting pot of different.
We brought our own destruction because of that. I mean, people think that that was so godly that we opened up our borders to all these different countries and it became a melting pot. That's what destroyed us, and that was the one thing the Lord always forbid of His people in the Old Testament times. They were not allowed to become a melting pot. They weren't allowed to associate and intermarry with their neighbors. They could associate with them. They were not allowed to intermarry with them. And but what did we do? We opened up our doors and said, oh, we're going to be nice. We want everybody to come in. And that's going to be our destruction, and you're going to see it because it was also prophesied. That would be our destruction, and it is, being a melting pot. All these different races coming in. All of our products now are being remade with Spanish, you know. They want to come to our country, learn English. If I was going to Mexico, I'd learn Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the way it is. It will destroy your country. They're trying to undo what the Lord did at the Tower of Babel. And that's what the whole New World Order is, undoing the Tower of Babel. Babel? I don't know.
That's where,
it's the same to me.
That's where they were building, and then He dispersed everybody. And
yeah, they were building at the tower, and then He confused their language and separated them. That's where we all became different races. With the Tower of Babel.
At this rate, man would be able to accomplish anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, they were very high tech, very, very high tech back then, and that's one of the conditioning things that even I had to get over. That I encourage everybody else to start learning to get over. Was the fact that they did not live in glorified campgrounds. When we think of ancient times, we have walls we put up about what we believe actually it was like back then. But they were very, very high tech. And the people that built the Tower of Babel were just one generation after Noah landed. When after the world was destroyed with a flood, Noah started repopulating the earth. They were the kids that could remember some of the tech before the pre-Noah days, the pre-Noah flood, I mean. They were the kids from that generation. They were Noah's kids.
Wow.
So his sons and his wives that still remembered a lot of that technology. That whole generation, that whole Tower of Babel thing was just one generation away, the first generation after the flood had destroyed the world. And so what they say was that they were trying to hide a lot of their secrets and wisdom in that tower so that could be remembered for generations. But it wasn't, that's what the Lord put a stop to. Because what happened was when these angels fell, if you read Enoch, the watchers that fell, they brought a lot of the ancient wisdom and mysteries and knowledge with them. And that was one of the reasons they were judged so harshly, because they were teaching the people a lot of these ancient secrets and wisdom that the Lord didn't want this new creation to have. And so now, where are we 2,000 years later, when you have all these secret societies touting all this ancient wisdom? It's exactly the same thing. Nothing's new. Everything's just old and repackaged for modern times. And you have all these people getting into the ancient wisdoms about the whole chakra system, opening up to 7 or 10 or 12 chakras or whatever. The New Age stuff. It's funny getting into
I believe your New Age theory, all that.
Yeah, that's what I call voodoo New Age.
Yeah. I stay away from that for sure.
Yeah, but that's exactly what the same knowledge that they had back then.
Theory stuff.
Yeah.
Like we can all become God. Yeah, right. We're one God.
And that's what it all amounts to when you look at it and you really start researching it. And I can't tell everybody to do this because they're not led to do this kind of research. They don't have discernment. I mean, I sent somebody else to go read something the other day, and they freak out because they don't know, was this true? Is this true? No, it's all garbage. I just wanted to recognize it for what it was. If people don't know the Lord, then they don't need to be on these other sites, because if they don't know Him, how are they going to know what's of Him and what isn't?
Well, in all the research I've been doing about the correct way to worship, shoot, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, my point in calling was to, because I know you have a lot of listeners, I just wanted to put it out there that we need to pray on Saturdays. God never changed it. And we need to worship on Saturdays. It's the correct Sabbath. And we need to worship just like it was a Sabbath day on the 7 annual Sabbath. I'm not even...
Yeah, there's floating Sabbaths, what I call floating Sabbaths, because some people will get to the point where they'll say it's every 7 days, so it means it's not every Saturday. It means one day, it could be a Saturday, the next week it's a Friday, or they just go on an every 7-day thing.
Right, but I've been reading that the Jewish... you could ask any Jewish person, and they would tell you that the Saturday, the 7th day, which God said is a Saturday.
Yes, the 7th day is always the 7th day. There's every 7 days. There's the 7th day, Sabbath, and Saturday. Never changes. But then you have these other floating kind of Sabbath holidays that they observe. Sometimes one will fall on a Wednesday, and then that week you'll have 2 Sabbaths to celebrate. You'll have a High Holy Day, which is on a Wednesday, and you'll have the regular Sabbath, which is on a Saturday. That
would be the Jewish?
Yeah. And so they have what I call these floating Sabbaths as well.
But for like a Christian, or for like just me to personally worship God, I feel like I've been reading it, and it's talking about the feasts.
Yeah.
Like the tabernacles and the Passover and the Feast of the Trumpets and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I put up a website, www.backtoyahweh.com. Where I started to try to, it was like a Feast for Dummies site. All of us trying to get back into these feasts, and they don't have any idea what we're doing.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
I should just get Feast for Dummies. But that's what I'm trying to do.
The 7th feast that he laid out, right? And
yeah. Because the funniest one is the one in October, Feast of, I think it's Sukkot. It's the Tabernacles, where they build this little hut. People build this little hut in their backyards. And it's so, for millions of people, they just can't do that. And so I was trying to think,
camping, you could just pitch a tent or something?
Yeah, they pitch a tent, or I saw one that put a picnic table there and then put this straw, like little fence thing all the way around it out of straw and branches and stuff. It was really funny.
Like a manger type thing.
Yeah, there's just different ways of doing it. But the part of grace in the New Testament is that He will lead us by His Spirit into how and keep His appointed times and feasts. We're not held to the letter of the law, we're held to the spirit of the law. And so that was the whole thing of grace, was that we were no longer held to the legalisms and letters of the laws. It was just the grace, the spirit of the law. And so when we start to learn these feasts and stuff, He will lead you by His Spirit as to what to do, what you should do in your situation, your circumstance, and how to celebrate it with Him.
Mm-hmm.
He will lead you into that by your Spirit. And so many people take that and replace the whole Spirit and grace issue with kicking out the feasts altogether. We no longer have to do them because now we have His grace and Spirit.
I hear that over and over from like Christians that I know that are Christians that say they're Christians, but they don't know. They can't help me.
They don't do what He says. That's what He tells me. They call me by my name, but they don't do as I say. He tells me that all the time. And
so some of these are like they say some of them last a week. Like I can't remember which ones.
Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, where if you're in the churches, that's when we're all going to be raptured.
So now you're just telling me,
that's when Satan
you just said.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Am I breaking up?
No, go ahead. We're just talking at the same time.
I'm sorry. From what you just said, that the feast of the Passover, or whatever you just said, goes hand in hand with something that is in the Jewish tradition.
Right. Everything is. And it's not a Jewish tradition if we
don't know
our traditions.
That's where it all originated. Yeah, that's what I'm finding out. See, Sherry, I've read Revelation several times because